Hi, third grade. Happy Friday. We're going to go over the test that you took yesterday. And somewhere hidden in this video, you will hear a sport of the day. So be listening for that sport of a day so that you will be able to type it into the form upon completion of this video to let me know that you watched the video. Hope you're having a great time. I hope that these tests are getting easier each time that we do them. Let's jump in. Marco has a goal of reading 10 books. By the end of September, he read 2 books. By the end of October, he had read 2 more books for a total of 4 books. Marco kept a record of the books he read. If he continues this pattern, in which month will he reach his goal? So we want to look here. It says he reads 2 more every month. So it looks like our pattern is going to be +2, which means in January, he's going to read 10 books. And in February, he's going to read 12 books. He reads 2 every month. It says that his goal is 10 and wants to know which month he met his goal. His month was January. He met the goal in January. Moving on to number 27, we're going to look at this pattern, and we have to figure out the numbers that are going to come next in our pattern. So sometimes it's better to say the pattern out loud. That kind of helps us hear it and figure out what's going to come next. So here we go. ABA, ABBA, AA, B, something, something. Let's try that again. ABA, ABB, AAA, B. I'm looking here and seeing 1A and 1B. And then I see 2 A's and 2 B's. And then I see 3 A's. So I'm probably going to need 3 B's, which means my 2 missing letters there are going to be B's. That one was a little tough. Let's move on to number 28. Dan is saving his money to go to the fair. His goal is to save $25. So far, he has saved $12. The box in the number sentence shows how many more dollars Dan needs. How many more dollars does Dan need to reach his goal? Well, this is just a fact family. So you keep seeing that how many more, and you know that how many more means to subtract. Don't let it throw you off that they've put it in an addition problem. So as we're looking here, you know how many more means subtract. We're going to do just that. 25 minus 12 equals 5 minus 2 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. So we need 13 more dollars to save. Remember, it's a fact family. So we could put those in any order. That's where the 12 plus something comes from, because 12 plus 13 is 25, and 25 minus 12 is also 13. So don't let that fool you. Number 29, which property is illustrated by this number sentence? 7 times 8 equals 8 times 7. If you recall at the beginning of the year, when you take 2 numbers and flip them around and the product remains the same, that's the commutative property. Let's go over these other properties real quick just to make sure that you remember them. The associative property would be if I had 3 numbers. So let's add a 1 in there. 7 times 8 times 1 is the same as 1 times 8 times 7. I can multiply 3 numbers in any order and the product remains the same. The distributive property would look something like this. So it's going to say that 2 times 8 plus 2 times 1 is the same as 2 times 8 plus 1. The way that you know it's a distributive property normally is the distributive property has parentheses on it. The associative property has three numbers that you're multiplying. The distributive property usually has an addition or subtraction sign in there also with the parentheses. The identity property, we talked about the I looks a lot like the number 1. And so that would be like 8 times 1 equals 8. It just says that any number times 1 equals that number. Here is an example of the distributive property. So it's telling us to pick out which one of those is the distributive property. And remember how I told you that it had to have parentheses and a plus or a minus sign there. So if we look here, this is taking the 5, the 4, and the 3, and it's just flipping it around, 5, 4, 3. We're still multiplying. We do have parentheses, but there's no addition or subtraction sign. So this is actually the associative property. We took three numbers and we flipped them around. The product is going to remain the same. 5, 4, 3, 5, 3, 4. We did the very same thing. There is no addition or subtraction sign. That is the associative property. The associative property is where you take three numbers and you flip them around. They're not multiplied in the same order, but the product is still going to be the same. Down here, there's no parentheses, 5, 4, 3, 3, 4, 5, but you still are multiplying the same three numbers. There's no addition or subtraction sign. Again, that is an example of the associative property. The distributive property is saying 5 times 4 plus 5 times 3 is equal to 5 times 4 plus 3. So there's that addition sign and our parentheses. A is your answer there. This pyramid has a square base. How many triangular faces does it have? So it's got a square on the bottom. That means that it has to have a triangle going around each side of that square. And you know that a square has four sides. That means that it must have four triangles going around it that meet right there at the top when you fold those in. So it has four triangles. Number 32, we are going to look and read every question. They like to try to trick you with these by asking you about layers instead of the total number. So always make sure you know what you're looking for here. Carly built this shape out of small cubes. How many cubes did she use? Well, I'm going to look first at this top layer. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on this top layer here, there's 4, and then there is 2 layers. So 4 times 2 is 8. There are 8 cubes used to build that shape. Number 33, which triangle below appears to have a right angle? A right angle is a 90-degree angle. So you're looking for one that has a right angle. This one is bigger than 90 degrees, so this would be an obtuse angle. These are little. They're cute little angles. They are acute. So that one cannot be right. This one has acute angles. See how it's smaller than this right angle over here? But this one looks like a square angle. I can make a square angle right in the middle. So this one sure does look like a 90-degree angle, but I'm going to test the other ones. This one is smaller, so it's acute. All three of those are acute, so it's not that one. And these do not make squares, so it has to be C. C is the one that has a right angle. Number 34, Jessie wants to put up a fence around a rectangular garden that is 30 feet long and 20 feet wide. Jessie will need at least how many feet of fence? Remember, fencing goes around it. We aren't looking for the inside here. We're looking for perimeter. Remember, perimeter is the fence. When we talked about perimeter, we talked about our little puppy Fido inside of our fence, and we needed to make sure that he does not get out. So you don't want to leave any places open on your fence when you go buy the lumber. So I'm going to need 30 feet here and 20 feet here, but Fido can still get out. I'm going to need some here, which is going to be another 30. and I'm going to need some here, which is going to be another 20. So 30 plus 20 plus 30 plus 20. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 3 is 8, plus 2 is 10. I'm going to need 100 feet of fence. Perimeter equals plus. Perimeter equals plus. Don't forget that when we're looking for perimeter, we're adding them up. The area, see now we switched to area, and you know the formula for area. We've been doing that on your SPAL review. Area equals length times width. The area of the 3 centimeter square is 9 square centimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 times 3 equals 9. The area of the 4 centimeter square is 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Or 4 times 4 is 16. The area of a square with sides that are 5 centimeters long would be how many square centimeters? It doesn't change. Area equals length times width. Area equals 5 times 5, which is 25. 25 square centimeters. The length of this screw is closest to how many centimeters? So we need to make sure that we're looking at a centimeter ruler. There it is. We also need to make sure that we started at the 0. And in this case, they did. They didn't try to trick us there this time. So this goes closest to the number 5 centimeters. What is the length of this segment to the nearest ½ inch? See that half? When it says half, I get 3 options. I can always choose the number. So like the number before or the number after, but I can also choose the halfway point. So I'm going to look here. I started at 0, so they're not trying to trick me there. And I'm going to go all the way here. I can choose the 3, I can choose the 4, or I can choose the halfway point. In this case, that line goes to the halfway point. So it's 3 whole inches and then half of another inch. A is your answer. Number 38. 2 rulers are shown. One shows centimeters, the other shows inches. 2 inches is closest to how many centimeters? Goes right to it there. 2 inches is the same as 5 centimeters. This thermometer shows the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit and degrees Celsius. When the temperature is about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, it is about how many degrees Celsius? So we're going to look on here and we're going to find we've got Celsius is over here on this side, Fahrenheit's on this side. It says when the temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit, so they've got it marked there for us. How much is it on degrees Celsius? We'll look over and it goes right to the 20 degrees Celsius. It's right at 20 degrees. A lot of times on these thermometer questions, it will ask you, it might say it's 68 degrees and then it'll show you the thermometer, and it might say that the temperature fell by 10 degrees. If it said that, then it would ask what is the temperature now, and you would have to subtract 10. Or it might say that the temperature warmed up by 10 degrees. If it rose or warmed up by 10 degrees, that means you're adding 10 degrees to that temperature. So always read that wording on the question to make sure they're not asking you about if it fell or rose, if it dropped or rose. They'll use different words, but make sure that they're wanting that temperature and not something to do with that temperature, because then they would have tricked you again. Always double check and make sure you're finding what they're asking. Number 40, Simon filled a large container with boxes shaped like cubes. He has one more layer of boxes to put in the container. When the container is full, how many boxes will be in the container altogether? So let's look at this first layer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 times 3 is 12. But we're not done yet because it said he has a whole nother layer to put in on top right here. So we're going to need another 12 cubes. And 12 plus 12 is 24. We need 24 cubes to fill that box. Alfredo is putting square tiles on the floor in a small hallway. It's 5 feet long and 3 feet wide. How many tiles will Alfredo use? Well, there's no point in us drawing the squares here because you guys already know all about area. Area is the inside where we're figuring out square units and square feet. Of course, you could draw it if you wanted to, but that's always giving us a way to possibly make mistakes. So as long as you know your formula, area equals length times width, and you have a length and a width, 5 times 3 equals 15. Let's look at this time. Remember, on time questions, you're going to know that an hour is the short word, a minute is the long word, and this will help you because an hour is the shorthand, the minute hand is the long hand. When Daisy got home from school, she looked at the clock. What time is it? So we're going to draw this over, and oh, that looks awfully close to the 3, but we always hook backwards. See how we haven't made it to the o'clock yet? That means this cannot be 3. It's still on the 2 because as soon as that goes up there to the 12, we're going to be at 3 o'clock. So it can't be 3 o'clock yet. It's right before it. It is 2 something. Now let's count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 2:55. 2:55. Art class starts at 12:30, which they've shown you on the clock here. Art class starts at 12:30, and it lasted for, let me try to get that centered. It lasted for 40 minutes. At what time did it end? I'm going to do this 2 different ways because I want you to see them both. This is the way we've done it in class when you have 12:30 and you're going to go for 40 minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and this is your end time. So 30, then we have 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, o'clock. What o'clock did we run into? 1 o'clock. Then you have 1:05 and 1:10. So the answer is 1:10. A lot of you will like to do it this way too, but when you do it this way using the clock, we still forget that when we pass o'clock, our hour hand changes. So if you're using the clock and you pass that hour, do not forget to move your hour hand. So here we are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, but now we need to know that our hour hand has passed the 1 now. 35, 40, and we landed on the 10. So it would be 1:10. I know this looks easier. I know that this is one you're going to want to do, but I'm going to caution you, you're going to possibly forget that you crossed that o'clock. That's why we lay it out here so we can draw ourselves reminders and remember where we are as we're going around the clock. Number 44 is another time question. Quan has 2 clocks in his room. The power turned off and the clock with hands stopped. The digital clock had a battery and kept running. A while later, the power came back on and both clocks were running. How long was the power off? This clock stopped and this clock kept going. I need to know if I started at, look here, I'm on the o'clock, so I can say it's 2. I started at 2 o'clock. I ended at 2:45. I want to know how long the power was off. So I'm going to have to make my minutes match and then my hours. So here we go. I'm going from o'clock to 45. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Now my minutes match. I'm supposed to make my hours match, but they already do. There's no need to add any hours. See over here where they're trying to trick you with hours? Don't let them fool you. 2 o'clock. Then we have 2:05, 2:10, 2:15, 2:20, 2:20, oh, 2:10, 2:15, 2:20, 2:25, 2:30, 2:35, 2:40, 2:45. We ended at 2:45. It's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes is your answer. Some of you like to count these by ones. That will get you the wrong answer every time. If we count by 5 while we hop, we got to count by 5 while we figure out how many hops we took. Here's a graphing question. They love graphs on your state test. There's always graphs on the reading section, and sometimes they put tables and things on there, but graphs are usually a thing that they want to make sure that you have learned, and so make sure you know how to read your graphs. One thing that we always look at when we see a picture graph is this right here. This is a key. If you don't look at the key, it's very, very likely that you're going to miss the question because there's always trick answers and they always want to make sure that you looked at the key on their trick. So I'll show you what's going on with that in a minute. It says the following picture shows the number of books Sammy read during the first 4 months of the school year. Use this pictograph to answer questions 45 and 46. So we're going to have to come back to this in a minute. How many books did Sammy read in September? If you went up to September and you counted those books, 3 is an option. A lot of third graders will pick 3, even though 3 is not the right answer, because they will have forgotten to look at the key. I know I need to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6. 6 is the correct answer. Number 46 says, how many more books did Sammy read in October than he read in September? Let's go back and look at that. In October, he read 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. This one is 9 because it's a half of a book. So we want to know how many more. That means subtract. 9 minus 6 gives me 3. So he read 3 more books, which is letter C. Here's another bar graph. So we've got a different type of graph this time, and we're going to use it for the next 2 questions. There we go. How many students in the class walk to school? We simply have to read it. Walk, right there. And it goes up to, it doesn't have a number. But I know if I'm counting, what comes between, halfway between 6 and 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The correct answer, 7 students walk to school. How many fewer, say that word fewer, means subtract. How many fewer students bike to school than ride in a car? So going on a bike, we have between 2 and 4. What comes between 2 and 4? 3. And it wanted to know about riding in a car. Riding in a car is between 4 and 6. What comes between 4 and 6? 5. So it said to subtract those. We have 5 minus 3 equals 2. 49 and 50 are going to be using this frequency chart here. And looks like they've turned the frequency chart into a line plot. So we'll have to see exactly what they want on that. Before I get started on number 49, I'm going to tell you your sport of the day. Your sport of the day is football. So when you finish your video, I want you to go type the word football into your form to let me know that you have watched the video today. There were 20 questions on the math test. How many of the students missed 5 of the questions? If there's 20 questions on the math test and we want to know how many missed 5, that means we want to know how many got 15 correct, right? So we're going to look here. It says number of correct on math test. If they missed 5, that means they got 15 right. How many of the students missed 5? Here's the 15. Looks like we've got 2 tallies and a frequency chart that says 2. 2 students missed 5 questions. How many students had more than 17 correct answers? We don't count 17 here because it says more than 17. That means 18, 19, and 20. The easiest way to do that is to look at a line plot. We're going to go over here and we're going to look at the line plot for 18, 19, and 20 because those are all more than 17. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 students got more than 17 answers correct. All right, guys, you did an awesome job. Keep up the good work, and I will see you next week as we do another recording. Bye-bye.